unconscious slip in me. All of what I fear has come to life. I'm blinded by my sight. Deep in all the sorrow, though I feel this world glows, I won't be the last to fight. In my mind, I can feel it wonder. your dress and keep the key. Hey Missy, your boy is missing. Where has he gone? It's a goddamn sticky situation, but I'll give you rights where you've been wronged. The second
Here we are.
Hello,
What's up, guys?
we're here, and you're here, and this is the second live event we've done together,
Yep.
and the first live event we've ever done where we have a course that's done, and
The course is live. It's available now. Crazy.
you've put it to your socials, and people are already like, oh, cool, and checking it out
Yeah,
and stuff like
yeah.
that, and had some good response over here too. But I mean, really, it's been about a month and a half since we've been together, and it was kind of one of those things where once we found out that we were going to have someone else joining us for the vocal production course, we're like, he's just got to come back out.
Yeah.
We'll launch the voice course. He'll be out here for launch, and then we'll be able to finish up this production course. So the cat is kind of already out of the bag if you've seen the course page, but we're having
Lucas Magyar from Vale of Maya. He's going to be out this week, and we're going to be doing some stuff with him, filming a live course with him.
so Thursday. If you guys, anybody who enrolls in the course before Thursday, gets to hang out with Lucas, Spencer, and myself while we make the course, while we make Lucas's course. And it's going to be this super interactive workshop thing. Of course, it's going to be available forever if you buy Spencer's course, but you get to actually be there and be part of the creation of the course. Do Lucas's warm-ups with us. And the cool thing is you've seen little snippets of what what Spencer's stuff has been like on YouTube. I mean, you're a vibe guy, right?
Yeah.
Lucas is more of a method guy.
Yeah, he's done a lot of teaching in the past too. So it's almost going over to the opposite end of the spectrum, which is really cool.
Yeah, perfect complements, counterweights. And so if you guys are looking to have solid, workout routines and stuff like that for your aggressive vocals and screaming, and at the same time really wanting to put gather inspiration from guys like Spencer and Lucas, I mean, it's perfect. It's a perfect balance. Let's see, what are people?
Somebody says it'd be cool to have Chris guest on a Periphery song. We were just talking about this yesterday. So, I mean, you guys probably know that Periphery is working on a new record right now. It's in the very infant stages. But I was telling Chris, this time around, I'm going to be orchestrating all of the choir vocals, and we're going to be recording them in Vegas. And I was telling Chris that he should fly out and be part of the Periphery choir on the record.
So I will. I'll be in there somewhere on the
Yeah.
next Periphery record. That's going to be so fun. Crazy how much stuff we're getting for so cheap. Thank you guys. Well, you're welcome. Well, it's only really cheap this week.
Yeah. It goes up in price after this week, but I mean, not by a whole lot, but
Yeah.
I mean,
30 you're
right
saving-
now you guys are getting it at the cheapest it's ever going to be, which is cool.
Well, and you're saving 30% on any of the bundles, but really, I mean, the value this week, if you want to get in with the singing course, the vocal production course, and be a part of those 2 live in session calls.
Yeah.
I mean, that's normally almost $300, I think, and we're not going to offer those ever again. We can't really, because otherwise we'd be on call every few
You only
weeks.
get to purchase those the
During
live
this
call
week.
This week, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you will also fly to Vegas. Cool. Let's see. The course currently costs like half lessons from vocal coaches. Yeah, it's true. There's a lot there. There's over 40 lessons just in your course.
Yeah.
And then Lucas's is going to be right now it's going to be 3 live sessions on Thursday, but it'll probably break down to 10, 11,
Yeah.
12 videos.
Yeah, he's got a lot of knowledge to share, so there's going to be a lot in there to break out from.
Hey, someone said they've already purchased the bundle. That's cool.
Sick. Thanks.
This is value for the money. Ronnie, thank you for being here. Ronnie is in my other courses and really active on the Facebook group, and he's an awesome guy. Does a lot of covers on the Facebook group, and he's good,
Awesome.
really good. I've reacted to a couple of them. And what's neat is we really wanted to give everybody an opportunity. Like we talked about pricing and stuff like that, and you know, you look at a lot of these places like monthly.com and stuff where you have these, you know, Charlie Puth did one, and I mean those are great courses. They're almost $300 like when enrollment opens, and that's the only option.
Yeah.
And we're thinking about, you know, the time we're living in, the accessibility. We really want as many people to be able to partake in this as possible.
Yeah,
and
without breaking your bank. You know, we know that the last year has been kind of hard on everybody financially, so just trying to make it work so that everybody can be a part of it.
And currency exchange can be a real problem too, right? I mean, if you're not using the dollar, I mean, even $10 is weird.
Yeah.
Sometimes. So there's lots of cool announcements that we have. You know, Lucas is one of them, of course. But I also got to talk about it.
Somebody says, is the bundle good for beginners or intermediates? What would you say?
The bundle. So the interesting thing about these courses is they are sort of skill level agnostic.
Yeah.
Because we start with things that are talking about learning with your own voice where it's at, as opposed to, okay, you have to have this technique, that technique, and all these techniques dialed in before you can approach the material. We purposely didn't go that way. If we did, I wouldn't have been even able to take the course, because the things that he does, some of the stuff that he does is so advanced that I'm afraid to approach it, right? You know?
Yeah, and that's why we offered the warm-up course for free, so that you can kind of get a look at like how I prep my voice to do all this stuff. And a lot of the stuff in the course, I'll be honest, you know, I didn't even realize I was doing half the stuff I'm doing, and that's why I did it with Chris, because he's so good at breaking down and deconstructing exactly what I'm doing and then explaining it to me. And then throughout the course, we're kind of taking a look at that and me kind of realizing that for the first time, which is really cool.
So I think that the answer to the question, like, is it okay for beginners? It's really good for beginners. And the bundle in particular, you get interaction with us, so you can ask questions as you're going through the course. And this isn't just like comment questions. You get to be part of a call with Spencer and I. We're doing 2 of them in the bundle. So we're gonna wait a couple weeks after enrollment closes, and then we're gonna meet up and have this call a couple weeks after, and then another one a couple weeks after that.
Yeah.
And the other thing too is with the bundle in particular, the vocal production course is in there. And really, I mean, if you're a bare bones beginner singer or an expert recording artist singer, you're going to get loads out of this, because talk a little bit more about that.
We go in depth from like microphone placement, exactly how to set up a microphone, to using outboard gear, dialing things in, to using plugins and like different types of effects and a vocal chain with EQ, compression, all that kind of stuff. So like really, if you're a beginner, you're going to see how I put my chain together from the point of the microphone all the way to the last plugin in the chain, and kind of see how I set that up for myself. And then we're going to experiment with it and you know, see how it would work for other styles of singing as well. Like we're going to set up a chain on Chris. We're going to set up a chain, or we've set up a chain on Chris. We're going to set up a chain on Lucas as well when he's here.
And I'm looking forward to you guys seeing that aspect of the production course, because it's one thing, and you guys have seen me on the channel set up for my own voice, but to have Spencer set up a chain for my voice over Periphery songs, that's going to be really neat for you guys to see, because he's going to set up the chain for me using his methods, differently than he would set the chain up for him because we've got different voices. I mean,
Yeah, our frequency responses are completely different. Like your voice is a lot louder and brighter than mine is. So I mean, the EQ and compression is going to be different right off the bat, right?
and we were talking about this yesterday, just as we were driving up from the airport, or maybe it was here. Doesn't matter. But we were kind of comparing and contrasting his screams with mine, and like his are so smooth, and they automatically like bite the presence of the
It's
microphone.
like a faster vibration to it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and they love the mic, right? Whereas mine are like juicier and darker, even though I try to make them brighter.
Mm-hmm.
And so the EQ approach, the compression
And
approach,
more saturation as well. I love throwing saturation at the end
Yeah.
of a chain on like a voice like yours. You know, it fattens it, darkens it up a little bit, and adds that richness to it.
yeah. So seeing that contrast, and then of course Lucas, I mean, what a rangy screamer, right?
Yeah.
And so dealing with that and
And super dynamic too. Like he has a very loud singing voice, and then some of his screams are a little bit quieter. So knowing how to go back and forth between the compression on that and so it can live in both of those realms, the singing and the screaming realm.
Yeah. And the crazy thing about recording vocals at all, but particularly aggressive vocals, and the vocal production course, I've had a couple questions on this. Is it good for just screaming and aggressive singing? It's really like you learn the workflows and the methods and signal chain and how to comp and how to edit vocals and how to produce vocals. All these things work for every genre. We're just using our favorite genre to do it.
Yeah.
But a lot of the stuff that we're going over, I mean, King Mothership stuff, your solo stuff, it isn't necessarily aggressive vocals.
No, I'm taking a totally different approach to my singing on those projects as opposed to Periphery, where I'm balls to the wall the entire time.
So you get to see approaches over Michael Jackson-ish type stuff as well. Yeah, right. Check your emails for the course. I should post the link here. Yeah, limited edition is the good way to do it, much like this.
Oh yeah, dude.
So he brought this out for me. This is one of 300, right?
Yep.
Initial pressed.
Yep.
And this is what we were playing at the very beginning. We might have to just like needle drop again and play another track here in a
Sure,
minute.
yeah.
But it was really cool because I put this on, and most vinyls like this are pressed and designed to play back at 33 RPMs. and this one, being a standard size LP, was printed to play back at 45.
Yeah, for some reason I don't know what happened, but I mean, hey, limited edition
Right.
version.
So what I thought, like, wow, this is going to be one of those. This is going to be worth something someday. In that, I would imagine the next pressing, they're
Will
they're
probably
gonna
be
fix
the
that.
opposite. Yeah, I would assume so.
But yeah, super cool. So thank you for bringing this out.
Yeah,
and
man,
he
no worries.
Also brought out this, which we have yet to crack into. But talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, this is kind of like the first solo thing I ever put out under the name Ender. It came out, when did it come out? Like 5 years ago or something? 2017. And it's very like, it was kind of my experimental like Trent Reznor worship record. Very industrial, but also like very pop driven, and there's also some like heavier stuff on it as well. It's kind of all over the place, but it was a lot of fun to make, and yeah, Chris hasn't heard it yet, so I brought one out for him to check out.
Yeah, thank you. Alex asks, how far out can the calls be scheduled? So these are, let me clarify a little bit. These are group calls, and we're going to schedule the group calls. And when you guys buy the bundle, you're going to get emails with time options for you to join one or more of the calls. And, well, you'll be able to join 2 of them if you want. And we may schedule, depending on how many people sign up for the bundle, this is another reason it's a limited time thing.
Yeah.
Depending on how many people sign up for the bundle, we're going to do more calls so that we make sure that everybody can get in on at least 2.
Yeah.
And so if we get too many people for Zoom to host, then we'll schedule more out. But you guys will be getting emails so that you're sure to be on.
Yeah,
those
it's just
calls.
really all contingent upon how many people sign up for the bundle.
Yeah. The ultimate bundle, right? There's 2 bundles. The middle tier bundle is the singing course and screaming course, and then the motor mouth vocal production course. And then the ultimate bundle has the calls. And honestly, like, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't do the calls, because going through material, like presentational material, of course, all of the stuff is conversational, just like we're doing here. I mean, the format of the course is like you saw on the YouTube videos that we did, where, I mean, we're talking, we're messing around. If he throws me in the booth and I experiment over something and he critiques what I'm doing and helps me get there on periphery lines and solo lines, and then he'll go in there and show us like the raw nature of, well, this isn't after doing 90 takes and choosing the best one. This is how you sound every day.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the value. Even if we were doing no teaching at all, hearing you in a raw state.
I think a lot of people just think, like artists, when they get into make a record, they go in there and they just rip it and that's it. No, there's a lot of, takes and comping and editing here and there to get the perfect thing. Like that, the record is going to be out there forever, right? So why wouldn't you want it to be the best it can be? You got to take the time and the effort and put it in, and not just half-ass it and go, oh, I'm just going to, sing through this one time and tune and edit to shit the whole thing, like instead of comping and like making sure, sometimes even down to like the words, I'll fly in a word from another take because it sounds better. Like you really got to put that meticulous effort into it.
Exactly. Here's the link, guys, again. Will the calls be recorded for viewing? Yeah, they will be. What we're going to do is record every call, and then so even if you let's say we get too many people and to do only 2, and we have to schedule 6, I don't know, something like that. All 6 of those calls will be recorded, and they'll be delivered to everybody who signed up for the ultimate bundle as a bonus course. So you'll actually get, a few months down the road, you'll get an email from us saying, hey, if you couldn't make the calls, or even if you were on the calls, here's all of them. And you can rewatch all of them in course format. So super awesome.
Yeah, 'cause we don't expect you to sit there and take notes on everything, while we're doing it live. Yeah, you want to be able to watch it back later, obviously.
And especially if you guys have submitted some sort of listening feedback, because that's part of the calls too, in advance. You guys can submit listening feedback and we can react to it. And I mean, it's super cool. So this ultimate bundle isn't, it's something that keeps giving, right? I mean, it's not like you buy a bunch of videos. You guys want to see a bunch of videos? Just keep watching my YouTube channel, right? If you guys want regular interaction with us.
Sorry, not to cut you off, but somebody says, regarding the vocal production course, is there a difference between hardware versus software signal chains, or is that not too much of a concern?
Ooh.
Well, so my signal chain is based off of, it's a hybrid. Like I run hardware and plugins working in tandem together.
Should we show them?
Yeah. I actually brought out my, I have it in a flight case here, but I brought out my signal chain for my hardware that I'm running before I hit the box.
So,
and you'll see how I dial this in and how it works with the plugins that I use for my voice. So we have a Brent Averill 1084. It's kind of like a 1073, but the EQ is a bit different on it. But it's basically the same preamp. It's like a Neve style 1073. And then I run that into the Retro 176, which is kind of like an 1176 clone, but it's got like a bunch of tubes in the back, and I really like the way it. When you really drive into that thing, it almost distorts, but doesn't. It like saturates your voice in a way that's really rich, and it's very nice for leveling out peaks before you hit the box. I don't compress super hard with it on the way in. I just catch a little bit of those peaks and just keeps everything even. And then that enables me in the box to have a healthier signal, and then I can run the plugins that I run on my chain in the box a lot more efficiently since I use that.
Show him your mic.
Oh yeah. Yeah, this is a new guy.
You just got it.
Yeah.
It's the C12. Oh, you may get the unboxing. Ready?
Yeah. This is a custom built C12. It's got a flea audio casing because So the guy who put this together said that Flea Audio, I guess, is the only company that uses some of the guts that are like exactly identical to the original AKG. But this has an original AKG capsule from a C12 and transformer and tube. So this is essentially an original AKG C12, which is, I mean, as you guys know, really hard to get. This is like my baby. This is what I'm going to be doing the whole new Periphery record with.
And we get to use it for at least part of the vocal production course.
Yep.
So sick. So I wasn't listening because I was grabbing my phone to film the gear. Did you answer about the in the box versus outboard?
Yeah,
Okay.
and how I'm using them together. It's like my chain is like a hybrid chain, and to me that's the way to do it. That is really the way to do it. I mean, trying to process your vocal completely with outboard gear, you don't really want to do that because, I mean, what if you want to change the dynamics and compression on your voice? You don't want to slam it and then you don't have any control over it later on. I like to take care of a little bit of the peaks and then saturate the vocals a little bit, and then having full control in the box afterwards. You just have a healthier signal to work with. So you're just kind of setting yourself up for success if you're hitting it the right way. If you're hitting the outboard gear the right way.
So, and you'll see the difference and hear the difference. I want to address this guy's question in a minute, but we're going to set up, you're going to see chains set up that only have in the box stuff.
Yeah.
And then you're going to see chains that have outboard, and we're going to show you also his gear and how he does it, but he's going to help me dial in gear, my gear on my voice and his voice and Lucas's voice. So there's this huge, it's not like if you don't have C12 and these things that you're not going to be able to get a good sound.
No, it's not about having to buy exact pieces. It's about navigating what you have and
learning the workflow
and getting a good signal with what you have. Yeah.
So I've bought a screaming course and singing course, but there wasn't any calls. Gave up as there was no interactivity between us. So my question is whether there is any opportunity for me to get back to the learning process with some interactivity. So that's why we're doing the call sessions. Mm-hmm. We figure that, I mean, there's so much presentation on the internet. There's so many videos on the internet, and the courses that we've put together are extremely interactive between us, and there's huge value in that because it's not just one person going.
It's very conversational. Yeah, it's not telling you to do something. It's us discovering almost in the videos together.
And seeing that process of me struggling through a periphery line and you helping me through it, or me offering something up and you trying it out in your own voice.
Mm-hmm. I've learned a lot about my voice just doing these courses, filming these with Chris, that I didn't know I could even do with my voice or didn't know I was doing with my voice. Like, this has been a learning experience for me as well.
So you get that interactivity, which I think is so much more valuable than just that one person, you know, try this. And you have no way of knowing because you can't compare any other voices. But that's the main reason we decided to offer the bundle with the calls. For those people who really want to go deep, this is an opportunity to really interact with us.
And ask questions about, things in the course. Maybe something wasn't clear to you, or maybe you want to go deeper into one of the subjects that we have in the course. You were able to ask it on the calls, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So lots of Q&A, lots of clarification if you need it.
Condenser, dynamic mic, yeah, the C12 is a condenser for sure.
Will the course talk about hardware recommendations for lower budget? Yeah, absolutely. And I've got, in fact, one of the chains that we set up is based around an SM57. That's it. We make a 57 sound great with nothing but stock Avid plugins. Mm-hmm. Now, you hear a difference between the C5 or the C12 chain with, everything.
I mean, yeah, there's going to be a difference, but you can get pretty much anything sounding decent, if you really work and use your ears, right? With EQ and compression.
Yeah, and one of the advantages of the production course format is that you get to hear these chains set up over multiple vocalists. And so it's like, well, of course an SM57 sounds great on Spencer. Anything sounds great on Spencer. I mean, you could have that, but, well, then I get on the mic. Well, then Lucas gets on the mic. And then we sing dumb things on the mic, and we realize that it's not. I mean, it's about the singing, but dialing in your chain, even with entry level gear, is absolutely possible.
It's possible, yeah. I
And
mean,
accessible.
you're like you said though, you are going to hear a difference
Yeah.
for sure. I mean, you're not going to get the same exact results, but you can still get it to sound good. Yeah, that's absolutely a thing.
Well, and so I just did a video on the channel, Chino Moreno, My Own Summer, and they recorded that
With a 57,
a
right?
58 cup.
58.
Cup in a
that's what it was.
58.
Yeah.
And
That's like been his thing
Yeah.
since the beginning.
you know what the
He's always-
distortion was on there? It was a Casio tape recorder.
Oh, God
They
damn.
went into 58 into the Casio. So, like, awesome gear and hit songs don't really. Thank you, my loyal YouTube following, for actually giving me the information that I just said, because I knew how to emulate the chain, but we had a bunch of people chime in on that video saying, actually, he actually used this, and he pointed me to videos that I
that's
could watch.
awesome.
It was so cool.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it really isn't about something sounding the absolute best it can. It's about the vibe of it, and it's more about the song, isn't it? And like the performance.
Do y'all go into vocal chains for male and female voices?
The chain that I have and that I will use, I mean, it works for male and female voices. You just, I mean, depending on how soft someone or how thin or thick somebody's voice is, you just kind of beef it up. I beef it up with the same plugins, just taking a different approach with those same plugins and hardware.
And one thing that you're going to see too is, both of us, well, Lucas too, we will sing in lots of different ranges all the time in our recordings.
Yep.
And so dialing something in to hit and capture, my higher head voice, what you're going to see is that, dialing something in for a Jeff Buckley-ish tone is different than dialing something in for a Lucas tone. But what you're doing, the workflow, the mindset and approach is the same. So it's not like you have to learn a completely different method to dial in a female vocalist. It's the same method. We teach ways of listening, reacting, and making decisions, as opposed to, this isn't a checklist or a recipe book. And that's, I think, really important for people to understand. And you can speak more to this too. Vocal production and singing in general, it's not a recipe book. It's not check boxes. It's experience and introspection.
Yeah, and these plugins, like you'll see my vocal chains, and they're going to be set up differently. I mean, even though the chain is kind of the same in the order that I'm setting everything up, the gaining is going to be different for all three of us. You know, us, you, me, and Lucas. And it's about paying attention to the gaining going in. The gain staging, your meters, where the compression's hitting, and doing it through multiple stages, and not just slamming one compressor. There's a lot that we delve into with it.
So I just posted the link for the course again and the bundles, so you guys can take a look. We're gonna hang out and answer some more questions. What DAW do you generally use or find best for tracking vocals?
I like Pro Tools. It's people always ask us, what DAW is the best, and I won't say Pro Tools is the best. It's just what I learned on, and I think for tracking and editing and mixing, it's just, for me, it's the most efficient. I love it. There's also a couple plugins in Pro Tools, like what is it, Crane Song Phoenix, which I can't live without that for vocals, and you can't really get it for any other DAW. But that being said, I mean, whatever DAW you have in whatever workflow works best for you, I mean, that's the answer. That's what's best for you.
It's worth noting though that Periphery, like every member of Periphery uses a different DAW.
Well, yeah. So our guitar players, they use Cubase. I use Pro Tools, and then Nolly. I mean, Nolly's not in the band anymore, but we still work with him for every record. He's mixing all of our records. He works in Logic. So there's 3 different DAWs being used on every record we do.
Yeah. And that's another important thing to note too, that the production course that we've put together, we're doing it in Pro Tools, but we've made sure, I mean, there's a couple plugins, like you said, that you will suggest substitutions for.
I'll show how to saturate vocals with something other than Crane Song. Like, I'm going to use that, and you'll see me using that in the course. But then I'm going to pull up other stuff that you can use in like Logic or Cubase or whatever you're using.
We've taken extra care to make sure that the things that we're not teaching Pro Tools features. We're teaching workflows that will work across all DAWs, I mean, and really any method, any format of recording, any platform. That's the word I was looking for. Let's see. Do you sing too loud to get those awesome high notes? Spencer, do you sing too loud to get those awesome high notes like Satellites? Chris, thanks for your work. I'm learning so much about my voice with your videos. Well, thank you.
It's pretty loud, right? I mean, it's not insanely loud. It's not that much louder than like my normal range.
No.
It's just, I mean, there's a lot of compression being used.
And we
like,
actually...
a lot of compression from my diaphragm.
Yeah, we actually go over those high notes in the course.
Yeah, there's a whole section for that.
And Spencer's singing high approach, and I'll say this. There's more on this in that section of the course, but when we first started working together, there was this sense of frustration, not at Spencer, but like just with, it was what I expected. Let me explain. I, more so than a typical rock star, am a methods, hey, if you do this, this will lead to here, this will lead to here. And initial interviews with Spencer were like, well, how'd you figure this out? And it was like, gigging, recording, that's what I did. I learned everything I learned by doing it. So you didn't have any weird tricks? No?
I didn't, that's the whole thing. In that part of the course, you'll see it being like, well, I don't know how I really got there. I just kind of forced myself. I thought about it like, oh, I would love to sing this note over this part. And I don't know if I could do it or not. We're just going to throw my voice around and see if I can get there. And, I talk about it like throwing myself in the deep end of the pool and then just figuring out how to do it properly later. And like recording for me was my way of learning how to do that. And then Chris kind of breaks down, we hear me singing some higher stuff and Chris gives me some phrases to sing, and then he kind of breaks down what I'm doing and deconstructs it and explains to you guys exactly what I'm doing when I'm singing high.
And that's where the magic of the whole course was. We started with, just do it, to reverse engineering over 40 videos. And it doesn't even stop there. I'm actually getting tingles in my head. It doesn't even stop there. We reverse engineer what you do, but then I get to participate in that, and you see that interaction. For example, on Light, there's a section in the course where I'm in the booth and I'm screaming the thing that he's done and I've listened to. Oh, by the way, all the Light vocals are fresh.
Yeah, they're re-recorded like the end of last year. I think we did them in like November or something like that.
And we'll talk about that more here in a minute. But I'm in there struggling through this section, and he's giving me tips on more compression. Oh, your tone is loose and floppy sounding here. Tighten this up. And then we're trying different approaches to help me coach my own voice, and he helps me get there. And I still don't quite get there, but it's encouraging because I'm in the studio working with Spencer, infusing what he does in my voice. My voice improves. My perspective improves. I don't sound like Spencer. Never gonna. But
you realize how much I focus on rhythm and
rhythm. That's another
really
huge one.
Yeah, and how that's a huge part of my performances. It's not just about thinking about, the character and the pitch and the technique. A lot of it is rhythm based and where to cut off airflow and where to let the airflow continue,
Yeah, that was a huge revelation for me. So there's all sorts of those things that you guys get to experience during the course. 30-minute wait. What's a 30-minute wait? Christopher Chris. Was this a dream come true working with Spencer and Lucas on this? Well, Lucas is going to be here on the 22nd, and I'm really looking forward to it. We were talking about this at breakfast this morning, and I don't know how many people know what happened. I think we talked about it in the last chat, but so I did a sing-like video on Spencer almost a year ago.
Yeah.
And you saw it in November.
Yeah, my buddy Casey Sable, who some of you may know, was like the original singer of Periphery. And he's actually the one who got me the gig to audition for Periphery, but he sent me, a video of Chris being like, oh, dude, this guy does a Sing Like You video, and it's crazy. He sounds almost exactly like you when he's breaking your voice down and like showing how you're doing what you're doing. So I went and checked the video out, and then was just floored by it. And was like, this is amazing. I've never seen anything done like this on me. it showed me stuff about my voice that I didn't even know I was doing. So I hit Chris up on Instagram, was just like, thank you. This is really cool that you're doing this and that you're doing this for other singers. Thank you for doing what you're doing. He wrote me back and was like, well, I have an idea about a course that we could do together. We should get on a call. And that's kind of how it started. Just me seeing this video and sending him a thank you message. And now here we are.
Yeah. And honestly, when I got that Instagram message, I was like, yes, like this is exactly, a vocal coach I am, yes, but a huge fan of guys that are actually doing it. And I mean, you've been one of my biggest muses the past few years.
Thanks, man.
Of guys who are, I mean, it's not just basement dwelling. I mean, you're out there doing it. And so to have him hit me up on Instagram and go, cool, I liked your video, and then to come out here and shoot, I mean, yeah, what can I say?
Yeah, it's been a lot of work, but it's been fun, man.
Yeah.
And I'm a better singer for it now too. Like understanding the mechanics of what go into doing what I'm doing
I think that's the magic of what we got to experience, when we filmed the first one and then doing this vocal production one. Like, my voice is way better. Some of the things that, I did a cover of Zombie, the Cranberry song Zombie on the channel just last week. And I can honestly say that the stuff that I learned from making the Spencer course went into that video, went into me making that cover. The accessibility of me to go in and out of my screams has improved massively just in the last month and a half since going through your stuff. And then, I mean, you said too, I mean, learning more things about the fact that the guys who taught the course are learning.
I'm being more cognizant of what I'm doing. Like, since I went home to now, from the last time I was here, when I'm tracking my stuff in the studio or writing, I'm way more cognizant of what I'm actually doing and like the mechanics of my voice and how it's working and airflow and being more mindful of it rather than just getting in there and vibing,
There's the course link again. Chris is out here improving. Oh,
yeah, absolutely.
I guess so.
Somebody asked how the material on the new Periphery record is going,
yeah.
and like I said earlier, it's still very much in the infant stages. We've had one writing session that lasted like a week and a half or so, and but the material that we've written, some of the demos that we've written so far is, I mean, I'll say like some of the craziest stuff, some of the proggiest stuff for sure. It's gnarly, and I won't tell you guys exactly what the concept for this new record is, but I think once you hear it and once it's a little further along, you guys are going to be stoked.
Frames to mind, what songs to practice for learning to sound like Yosemite Sam? Ooh. So this is a guy who's taken Discover Your Voice. Yosemite Sam, listen to the Toy Story soundtrack. We talk about that in the Singing Higher section of the course. We don't call it Yosemite Sam, but we talk about place. Yosemite Sam is, and I talk about this in Discover Your Voice, it is to be used as a contrast to high compression placement. And really, you don't want to, if you do Yosemite Sam, it's a mild effect. It's not a scream your head off effect.
I've never heard that term before.
Yeah, I made that up.
Okay,
It's a cartoon character.
Cool.
Let's see. Should I take the courses of Chris alone after the new courses? Which courses should I take first? That's a really great question. You should probably take them together. I know that's a weird sound or weird thing to say, but the Chris courses are very, very methodical. The Spencer courses are very experiential, and there's aspects of both in both. Like there's some methods in the Spencers.
But there's also some stuff that's completely different.
Yeah. And it's interesting because I have a lot of people who are in the aggressive vocal course, and a lot of people are in Discover Your Voice who have asked me questions about the Spencer stuff, and I always tell them, I always ask them, okay, what week of Discover Your Voice are you on? And they say, well, I've made it past week 3 of the course of Discover Your Voice, and I've started the aggressive vocal course. I said, great, perfect time to get into the Spencer stuff, because you now have, it's like if you're taking guitar lessons and you're learning techniques, and then you want some songs to play, or you want to work on recording yourself. Well, now you have, with the Spencer courses, you have all sorts of like real world application stuff to work on as you're going through the more methodical.
Something to apply those techniques with.
Yeah. So I know that's kind of a weird answer, and that's actually another reason we've priced them the way that we have, is if you guys want to sign up for, if you want to sign up for the aggressive vocal course, or you request an invitation to discover your voice and get in, we want you to be able to, do this in concert if you want to, and if you can, if you have the bandwidth. Time-wise, we have the time to do everything. Yeah. The practice routines in Discover Your Voice are built to account for people who have recording projects, people who have other singing and musical lives outside of just practicing their voice. And talk a little bit about your practicing in light of that, because you don't practice.
I don't sit down and practice like have a set routine or anything like that. I have my own studio at home, and do a lot of vocal production, but also do a lot of writing in my spare time. And that's kind of how I practice. Is I write, I write songs from the ground up for my solo stuff, or I'm writing, periphery vocals for a new record. And I kind of write stuff that's out of my ability to sing at the moment sometimes, and trying to reverse engineer what I'm doing and how to nail those parts better. That's kind of my practice, and doing it over and over and over until I nail it right for the recording, and then think about, okay, I'm gonna have to do this live, so I'm gonna have to get good at this, and then I practice singing those sections.
So we had a question here: has Spencer taken any of my courses? It's kind of funny when he hit me up on Instagram. One of the first things that I did, as we started having email exchanges, is I said, I'm going to enroll you in Discover Your Voice and the aggressive vocal courses. And I threw that stuff over there, because in your original message, he said, I learned a lot about my voice just watching your YouTube video. I'll definitely check out your stuff. And so I was like, well, I'll just enroll him in the courses. And what was interesting, and you said this earlier in this event, like a lot of what I share in my courses, you were already doing. You just didn't know you were doing, because he had stumbled upon it through experience, through doing it.
From doing it for so long, I have the muscle memory to do it now, but I didn't realize what I was doing. I guess I just got lucky with not getting muscle memory for bad technique,
Yeah, right. Yeah. The courses at this point are not subtitled yet. I'm looking into ways to subtitle the courses. I will say this though, there is so much information in there that's demonstrative, that even if your English isn't so good, listening to the things that we do with our voices is good, and especially with the production course, seeing the things, how they're set up and everything.
That's the other thing. So for the production course, when you guys get that, you want to make sure that you're going through that course with good headphones, so that you can hear the quality and the differences between everything that we're doing. Because if you're just watching that on your phone speaker or your laptop speakers, you're not going to get everything that you would get out of it if you were using good headphones, good studio headphones.
Two great questions. Luca asks, what would you estimate to be the time to complete your course? Wow, that's a good question. I don't know that in terms of watching the material. I think it's 6-7 hours of material, maybe.
It's a lot. It's a lot of material.
I wouldn't. But in terms of experiencing it, like, it's kind of a lifetime of stuff. So I don't think that there's like a
graduation kind of thing with it.
Not with this. It's more like, here, have this, and add it to your enlightened arsenal of vocal approaches for the rest of your life. A lyric writing process, is that in the course? It's funny, we don't talk specifically about lyrics.
Yeah, lyric writing, that's something that's so personal. Like, there should never be like a blueprint to writing lyrics.
But talk about what we do on the ritual with the dramatic reading. because we're internalizing stories.
Oh yeah,
and
like
characters
like
and-
creating a character off of the lyrics based on what the lyrics and the vibe of the song are telling you. So we go through a little bit of that and how lyrics play into your character and your role in recording a song or performing a song. But yeah, I lyrics is something to me that you can't really teach. It should be something that comes from the heart. It's like a poem or something from your heart that comes out. It's you expressing yourself. That's not something that should be like a clinical thing that can be taught.
So we had another question. Are there going to be backing tracks for people to practice over? There are not only backing tracks, but there are isolated vocal takes and stems for every song that we work through. Between the Motormouth production course and Make Vox Total Destroy, there are 6 songs, and you get...
Is it 5 or 6?
It's 5 in the vocal course, but
Yeah.
6 because It's
Yeah,
Only
you're right,
Smiles is
you're
in
right.
the
Yep.
production one. But what's he saying? Oh, yeah, you get the backing tracks to practice over, but you also get to go back to the original like P4 recordings for Crush and go, oh, how did Spencer sing this on like this little section and hear it without any effects
you'll be able
or
to
anything?
isolate my actual vocal takes and hear what I'm doing, and you can learn from that. Try to emulate it to learn the technique of what I'm doing, or just if you want to hear it to see what it sounds like on its own.
Yeah, I mean, never before has there been, I don't think, at least I haven't found one, that's why we made it,
Yeah.
a course that does this. Like, if I was telling Spencer last night as we were getting some of the finishing touches put on it, if I were younger and didn't make this course and someone offered something like this where I could not only learn from and have like call sessions too, but learn from one of my favorite singers, but also hear the raw multi-track of performances that he'd done on songs I'd been listening to for years.
Oh, I would have eaten that shit up, man. Yeah. God. Like if I could get a Mike Patton recording like that, oh, dude.
Are there stems for other stuff? I'm dying to have there. So there's P1.
They're re-recorded vocals for Light and Jetpacks.
Yeah.
Yeah. I re-recorded them recently from the ground up, the full songs, and you'll get the vocal stems for those for sure.
Yeah, you get the stems, you get the isolated vocals, and we do in the course we do full listen through and commentaries, and we compare and contrast where you were as a singer on the original P1 recordings versus where you are now. It's super interesting to hear the differences between them. And then after we do that, you can go in and listen for yourself and compare and contrast. Yeah. And it's funny, when he sent me that stuff, I actually had a buddy over, and we were listening through to the P1, and we were doing that very thing. We were listening to the original Jetpacks and then the re-record, and just totally nerding out on, wow, he didn't hold that out the same way, and then we did that, and then I got to talk to Spencer about it.
Note choices on certain parts.
And the way you hold your
I
mouth.
kind of reimagine them. It's not just like a 1-to-1 copy of the way I did it back in 2010. It's like how I would do it live now. Even I took a lot of liberties with some of the parts in the songs.
So here's a link to the course bundle again. How much will it cost to access the Lucas stuff? If you enroll in the bundle this week, it will cost you nothing extra. It is included in this course launch this week. Afterward, it's going to be millions of dollars.
And there's a lot of value in that. Like, so I've known Lucas for a long time. When he first joined the band was when Vale was doing Matriarch, and I actually produced a bunch of his vocals, recorded him, and was there producing vocals with him. And he's just, from his warm-ups to his technique, it's just invaluable information. Like, you guys don't want to miss out on that for sure. Like, the guy just has so much to teach.
Talk about mixed voice and grit and stuff like that. We talk about that in the course. But what's interesting, so we had a question come in, can you help singing gritty? We're gonna save that complex explanation for the course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's in the course. There's a lot of that.
There's a lot of that in the course. Yeah. But what was one of the first observations so we have this whole section on the course where I dissect his range and pay attention to, like, when does he move into head voice, or what's his lowest note, and what happens when he goes high. And the muscle memory that he has trained into him it's extremely deceptive because he sounds like he's singing in chest voice no matter what. But well, that's all I'll say. It's really, really weird and cool and a neat thing for me to experience and unpack. Tempted to enroll, but Indian rupee. Oh yeah, that currency exchange is yeah.
Oh,
That's
man.
I know it's hard. Here's the link again. Hi from Colombia. Sweet. Do I like chicken? I do. Who can?
Mike Patton next? He seems like an approachable person. Love the sarcasm in that.
Yeah, I don't know. It'd be kind of fun to get Mike Patton to come.
Yeah, I don't think he would ever. I don't think he would ever do anything like that.
No.
But God, that would be. I mean, dude, I would buy that.
Yeah.
Even if he sat here for 10 minutes, I'd pay hundreds of dollars to listen to him talk or like break down his technique. God.
But actually, what's kind of funny about this is that you are, in many ways, by enrolling in these courses, you're getting a Mike Patton protege course because of how much he's influenced you.
He's been like one of the biggest influences on me as far as, vocals and vocal technique and expanding my range. We talk about in the course, a lot of people think expanding your range just means going upwards, but I mean, he's inspired me to expand my range downwards, and I can sing a lot deeper than I could when I first started, as well as a lot higher because of, emulating and practicing a lot of stuff that he does.
Yeah. How drastic are dynamic differences when recording? Massively, but that's why you use compression on the way in.
Yeah, compression is super important. I mean, for a vocalist, that's your best friend is compression, for sure.
And we show you in the production course, and it's one thing to like sit here and say, use compression. And compression, like audio compression, but vocal compression. Like that's a huge part of it. But it's one thing to sit here and say that, but the value of being shown the multi-stages of compression with your voice, compression on the way in, compression in the DAW, limiting in the DAW, more compression, saturation,
I
all.
I actually nuke the fuck out of vocals with compression, but I'm doing it in so many different stages that it doesn't sound like it's being absolutely nuked. I mean, whereas if you did like -20 on an 1176 in one stage, it would sound crazy. It would just sound squashed. But I mean, as you know, like my vocal chain, since I'm doing it incrementally through all these different stages, it actually ends up sounding nice and natural, but right in your face. That's how you get that, that pop and that crazy like metal in your face sound.
Yeah. Do you do one-on-one personal vocal lessons? Chris does. Spencer doesn't.
Yeah, I don't.
But that's why we've done these call sessions. This is the closest thing you're going to get to someone who is touring and recording and traveling all the time.
Somebody says, does Spencer actually vocal fry? We go over a lot of that in the course too. And
yeah,
I don't think I've ever really used that.
Well, it's funny because when I start asking, this is actually a really good reason to enroll this week with Lucas's stuff. Because Lucas talks a lot about that fry, false chord, scream, those terms that, quite honestly, Spencer and I can't relate to. Vocal fry.
And I do that for a lot of like the losido.
Yeah.
Like that's vocal fry right there.
Yeah. But this whole idea out there that the whole term fry scream, it was kind of funny. Spencer and I were on a call before he flew out, and I threw out the term fry scream, and he goes, I don't know what that is. And I went, yes! Because it's such a misleading term. Now, can you learn with it? Yes. But we take a completely different approach. And it's one that I have learned, and it's one that you can see the beginnings of, and then see us workshop to death in the course. But if you check out the first YouTube video that you and I did together after our last live event, you can see the way that both of us have learned to scream.
Yeah, we break down a lot of different types of screams in the course too. Like we go even into like the death growl type of screaming, and I didn't, before doing this course, I didn't know how to describe to people how I do that. But Chris would be in the course is like, we'll do a death growl, and I do it, and then he's like, oh, that's interesting, and then he kind of breaks down like the placement of the voice and how you're projecting with it and everything to do it, and like how to drop and raise your
the placement
of everything. And That's something I didn't even understand. Yeah, I just did it all off a feel. But yeah, we even go in depth of describing how to do death growls in the chorus.
Yeah, in the context of a Periphery song, which is that, I mean, that's what's so cool about it is like, hey, you're listening to, I think it's Crush where we touch on it and then we touch on it in another lesson. But it's like this comes up and we analyze it right there. And so you're getting contextual stuff. It's not what you could do, it's what Spencer does and how can we get there.
Yeah.
That's the theme also with the production course. I think that's important to note that this isn't, you know, the top 10 ways to dial in a vocal chain. This is how Spencer has done it.
Yeah, this is my method. This isn't just like, this is exactly how you dial in a vocal chain. This is how I dial in my vocal chain and my method of doing so.
Which I think is really valuable because the stuff that we've all been listening to, I mean, you are a professional vocal producer as well as a vocalist. And so, you know, we can go on Spotify or buy records or listen on any, find your music. And I mean, you're doing it. You are a guy who's out there doing things that are out there and professional.
Yeah, and I don't know if a lot of you guys know this, but like, you know, our Periphery records, the vocals you hear on that, I recorded those and processing them myself and send Nolly, you know, like the already processed vocals, even with ambience on its own track separate from the vocals, and he just kind of levels them in with everything else. But I'm using the vocal chain I'm going to be showing you guys on Periphery records that you've heard.
Tips for singing when wearing headphones. We cover that in the production course ad nauseum. Well, maybe not ad nauseum, but like getting comfortable in your listening environment.
Yeah, and even down to like using headphones that you're comfortable with that add to your vibe. Like I'll show in the course, you know, the headphones that I like to use, which are the Sennheiser DT, or not Sennheiser, sorry, the Bear Dynamic DT770s. Those have been my go-to for years, just because I feel comfortable wearing them. I like the way my voice sounds back through them, and that in turn adds to the character and the confidence in my takes. So I mean, there's something to be said for using gear that you're comfortable with, even down to the headphones.
So I just posted the link again. I want to talk a little bit more about the different options that you can sign up with. Everything's 30% off this week, so until Sunday. And if you click on that link, you'll see a little counter down there. It'll let you know why are we doing a launch and a sale and not just like putting it out there for the price. Here's why. We really want to develop a community around this course and around any future courses that we do. And we want to reward and incentivize people to sign up so that there's a big group of us all going through the material together. And you can't do that if you just go, okay, everybody, buy it whenever you want or enroll whenever you want. You can enroll later, but you won't get all the goodies. If you enroll this week, you get Lucas's stuff for free. You get to be part of creating the Lucas stuff.
Yeah, 'cause we're doing it live this week.
Yep. That's on the 22nd. You also get the option to sign up for the Ultimate Bundle with call sessions. There will be 2 call sessions or more, depending on how many people actually sign up, where you get to interact directly with us as you're going through the material. And you can follow the link and get more information on that as well. So we put together these bundles. We want people to join and get started, and we want to create sort of an instant community around this. That's why we're doing it the way we're doing it.
Yeah.
After this week, we'll probably close the course for a while and give everybody a chance to go through the material. But you definitely won't be able to get in on any of the interactive sessions because, you know, you're busy working on like 5 different records.
Yeah, I'm working on a solo record and the new Periphery material right now. So there's a lot going on for me this year.
Yeah, so it's a way for us to get this out there and interact with people. But then, I mean, you got to go back to doing what you're doing and making music, and you know, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
So, question for Spencer: just enrolled in the course. Your solo stuff is also rooted in more alternative styles other than metal, such as pop. Are those styles and techniques also covered?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like greatly in depth. Like we use a song that's already actually out on my SoundCloud page called "Stupid Love." That's one of the examples we use in the course.
We've unpacked a lot of examples.
A lot of examples, even down to like how I compose harmonies and backing vocals over that style of music, and in different types of voices and characters that I would use that I wouldn't necessarily use in Periphery. A lot of like those Michael Jackson and like the Weeknd type techniques with the voice.
Yeah.
We go through with that example.
Alex asks, is this good for baritones? Yes, I'm a baritone. It was good for me. Don't let your voice type, in fact, this is a general rule. Don't ever let your voice type keep you from learning and experiencing.
Yeah, I hate when people say, oh, you should just sing in the range that you have. Don't try and sing outside the range you have. I didn't have the range I had when I first started singing, and I have it now because I like
Didn't listen to that.
I didn't listen to that. I like to enjoy trying to sing outside my range. I mean, not to the point where I damage myself, but I would practice it little bits here and there, and now I can sing a lot higher because of it. I can sing outside of the range I was born with because of that. Will Spencer's new solo album be on Spotify? Yes, when it's done, it will. And it's in the final production stages right now. I'm actually having so I finished it and did like a pre-mix for the whole record. The whole record's done being written. I sent it off last week to have my friend Yuka Backlund, who's actually the keyboard player in Nick Mystery, do some final production stuff on it. So he's doing that right now, and then once he's done with that, I'll take everything and then put a final mix on it and send it off to Taylor Larson for mastering, and then it should be out, you know, I don't know, I would say probably like 5 or 6 months down the road this year.
So someone says harmonies are covered. Audio is super low. Huh. Sorry. I'll try. I just turned it up a little. Turn it up more. Cool. Okay. Someone said that there will be vocal arranging and harmonies covered. Some in Make Vox Total Destroy, from a mindset perspective and how to adjust your voice, but loads and gobs in the production course.
And even showing how I would process those differently, how to EQ and compress those a little bit differently to make them pop or sit back further in the mix, or how to aux ambience to those type of things, and just pretty much the whole gamut of backing vocals and main vocals.
So you just released a solo album last year, and you're releasing another one this year.
The King Mothership record is not really a solo record. That's something that I've been writing off and on. It's almost like a rock opera for like the last 8 years. And my buddy Ty Wright, who's the bass player, he helped out. He played on it as well. He's the bass player. And Matt Halpern, Periphery's drummer, he drummed on the whole record. So it's not really a solo record. The one I'm doing right now is strictly a solo record with some guests here and there, but it's pretty much just me playing everything.
Oh, volume is fine. Okay, cool. How much are those courses? Here's another link. There's the link to the courses. You can get in for this week as little as $89. Mm-hmm. That's just the vocal course.
That's
now
the singing course, yeah.
In the vocal course, they're really. I mean, you'll learn a little bit about production because of the way that we're singing stuff in the booth. And
analyzing and everything, yeah.
But if you really want to get into harmonies and production and arranging and writing and workflows and the psychology of creating great recordings, you got to do the Motor Mouth bundle. We do cover a lot of singing and screaming and general approach and have great conversations and dialogue about that. But as a recording artist, we almost hesitated. Do we even offer the singing course by itself? Do we even offer it? Because we don't want people to get the wrong idea. We eventually decided to, yes, because I know that there are a lot of people out there who they don't produce their own vocals.
Yeah, they don't record themselves.
But strongly, especially for the price, because you can get the bundle for less than it's going to cost next week to get just the course, just the singing course. And you get Lucas.
Yeah.
Oh, harmony and arranging. You gotta, if you're into harmony and arranging at all, which, I mean, the stuff that we've done so far, and my mind's just going to be blown for, when Lucas comes and I get to see this done with Lucas. But my background for vocal production, I mean, I went to school for recording engineering, and worked at a recording studio for a while, and so learned a lot in that direction. And it's interesting watching Spencer work. I feel like I had a little bit of an experience like you had with vocals, where I'm like, oh yeah, I already do that. Oh, I do that too. Oh, good, I'm doing things right. Because listening to what he's done on his records and how good they sound, and then finding out that he's using the same sorts of things that I'm doing was super liberating for me. And of course, there's some different things that I've been like, oh wow, yeah, the way I do it really isn't the way that I should be. So there's some of that, but the singing stuff, it was totally enlightening for both of us.
Yeah, definitely.
The production stuff, just because for me, singing is production. Like I can't separate the two.
You have your own, setup. Yeah. Like you do things kind of the same way I do. Like you're always recording yourself, practicing that way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I feel like that there's an element, not to bag on the vocal course. That's not what I'm doing at all. It's more just for my approach.
They go hand in hand together. Yeah.
It's like I couldn't do one without the other. Mm-hmm. They complement each other so well. Here's the link again. I buy all. How many times do we have? How many times do you?
Well, yeah. So somebody says would be awesome if you guys have tie-ups with plugins / hardware companies that you use for productions. Yeah, I mean that's all going to be covered. Like you guys are going to see exactly what I'm using from hardware down to the plugins I'm using. Like that's all going to be offered in the production course.
And then you get the stems to work with by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually try with your own signal chains, take the raw unprocessed Spencer vocals and put in what your.
Well, I think they're already processed.
Oh
right?
yeah,
they're processed.
Yeah.
But you guys will be able to. You guys will be able to take what I, because I'm going to show like the vocal chain and how the plugins that I'm using, and you'll be able to try and emulate those lines, record them yourself,
yeah,
and then try and use the vocal chain and with how I've explained how to gain everything and what you should be looking for in the meters and gain reduction and all that on your own voice, the same way I'm doing it in the course.
Yeah, so you can kind of A/B your experience with what you hear Spencer doing.
Yeah.
And that's just awesome. Cover this, but can you go over the calls and how that's scheduled in? Yes. So these are not like one-on-one private lessons. But they are kind of the next best thing. We have to see how many people sign up. But the idea is that everybody who signs up with the calls will be able to access 2 of these calls. Mm-hmm. We will schedule the calls. Those who purchase the Ultimate Bundle will be getting emails about when these calls are scheduled. Mm-hmm. They're going to take place over Zoom, unless we get. You'll get the information. Right now, we're planning on doing them over Zoom.
Yeah.
We may use a different platform, but you'll get that information. It just depends on how many people we get signed up.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do as many as we need to make sure that everybody can have access to 2 calls.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're going to schedule them out roughly every 2 weeks after the course closes. They're going to be about an hour in length. You guys are going to have an opportunity to ask questions, hear us talk a little bit more about the courses. These are exclusive to people who buy the Ultimate Bundle.
Yeah.
And they're only available this week. So if you want to get in on the calls, you have to
get it within this week. Yep.
Yeah. Does the course cover some of the vocal techniques used by Riley Reid?
Who is Riley Reid?
I don't know. I'm embarrassed to say that neither of us
know
who
who
Riley Reid is.
Riley Reid is. I'm sorry. I mean, a lot of the techniques in the course that we're going over is what I'm doing, and I mean, a lot of other singers probably use a lot of the techniques
Mm-hmm.
that I'm using, but it's very specific and like breaking down my techniques, and Chris kind of talking about reverse engineering exactly what I'm doing for my techniques.
What tone generator app do you use in the training? The app that you use, they don't make anymore.
I think it's ClearTune. Is that what it's called? I'll actually look at it right now and tell you guys. I'm not sure if they make it anymore. I feel like the last time I checked, it wasn't on the App Store anymore. Yeah, it's ClearTune, and it looks like this. Let's see.
Here, we'll do this.
Yeah, zoom in. Looks like that. I mean, but there's a lot of other, tuning signal generator apps that you can use that are probably just as good. But that's just what I've always used. I've had it for like 6 years now. And I guess, I mean, maybe I'm just grandfathered in because I've gotten it back when it was available. Maybe it is available again. I don't know. Check it out.
Any upcoming covers by the two of you on the channel? I don't know. Maybe someday.
Yeah.
Be kind of fun.
Yeah, maybe when we have time. This year is just so hectic
so
for me
busy.
with all the new music I'm working on, especially with Periphery. This new record we're working on is going to be a beast.
But there is a part of us covering a Backstreet Boys cover on YouTube already.
Karaoke style. Clear Tune. Yep, that's what it was.
Here's the link to the course and bundles.
No Kelly Clarkson covers coming. That's strictly a karaoke thing. There would never be an official Kelly Clarkson cover.
What 1176 inspired outboard compressor do you advise for compression on the way in?
1176 Rev E or what is the blue? Not the actual blue stripe. It's like the black one with the blue. The AE. The Rev E and the AE are the best. The one I use it's kind of like a clone. It's a retro. It's called Retro Instruments 176. It's great. The way I have it set up right now sounds almost identical to like an E. So you can get it. It's just going to be, the attack and release times are a bit different with the clones than the originals, and the guts are not exactly the same, but you can achieve a lot of the same kind of sounds, unless you're using Warm Audio shit. Don't use that shit.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a lot of people talk about. The Warm Audio stuff, like you can get exactly the same sound. You're not going to be able to get the exact same sound with
It
that
doesn't
stuff.
saturate the same at all.
No.
A question on what are your favorite plugins for background vocals? I mean, that's all over the production course.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it's so situationally dependent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a hard question to just be like, here are my favorite plugins. Like, what's the arrangement call for? What is the singing call for?
Yeah.
The style, and that's
And sometimes I'll compress them harder, sometimes I'll compress them less. It just depends on, and EQing completely differently, sucking or boosting other frequencies based on the situation and the style of voice you're using for the background vocals.
And that's actually one of the things. Here's the link again. That's actually one of the things about the production course that was really enlightening for me, is that the situationally dependent approach to lead vocals versus backing vocals, or gain vocals versus gang vocals versus lead like solo vocals or double like there's so many things that are made on a situational, creative, and arranging.
It's not just
basis.
like a one size fits all type thing.
No, you have to experience it, and that's one of the main things about the production course that's been enlightening for me is that sort of thing. Chris, did I lose some weight? I don't know. I never weigh myself. I probably have lost weight the last month with all the work we've been doing. But have I tried Chiba Hut? Have you tried Chiba Hut?
Yeah, there's a bunch of Chiba Huts in Vegas. I love that place.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't eat bread very often, but that's like a sandwich place that I'll treat myself to a sandwich here and there.
Yeah, I have a Chiba Hut really close to the studio, and my son discovered Chiba Hut. We were going on a trip, and he discovered Chiba Hut for the first time a few months ago, and now like we drive, I have to have Chiba Hut.
It's so good.
Yeah,
dude.
it's so good, so good. Let's see here.
No, do not buy Warm Audio. I mean, I don't want to slam them. It's not like I have anything against them, but it's just I feel like it's advertised wrong. Is like you can get the same kind of
That's a good
the same kind of sound, the same kind of saturation and compression that you would on a regular 1176 or like old outboard gear. It's not. It's completely marketed wrong. Like it doesn't sound the same. Like,
that's the better way to say it. It's actually, so if you actually go to my channel and you watch the Beatles Come Together cover. That was done. The lead vocals were done with a Warm Audio mic. Mm-hmm. It does not sound like U87. It is a functional mic, and it works, and it's a good value for the money.
Yeah, I just feel like it's marketed a bit wrong. Like, this is a clone. This sounds
Not
exactly like no. Yeah.
And that's a bummer when you are being set up for expectations that are not going to be met.
Yeah, I mean, and you can see it in the price too. I mean, their gear is cheap. It's very affordable. But there's a reason why some of the old outboard gear, all the vintage stuff, costs as much as it does. Like it definitely has a certain sound to it that you can't really recreate with a new piece of gear unless you're using a lot of the same kind of components that you are, which cost a lot of money.
So, Chris, do you dare to record a cover of any Periphery song after doing the course? There may or may not be a cover by me and a reaction by him on the course relaunch. Mm-hmm. There may or may not be. It wasn't able to be done this time because we were working really hard to get this done.
Yeah, a lot of time went into this, yeah.
But I will say this, if I'm going to do a Periphery cover, I'm going to spend a lot of time on it.
Spencer, have you ever attempted the more traditional death metal vocal style? I don't know what traditional death metal vocal style is, but we go over death growls, and like there's a lot of death growls in Periphery songs in backing vocals that I do. Not so much in the forefront, but we go through my technique of doing that, and I've done it for a long time.
And a big part of what you hear on the sure, you can do the growl, and you've done
it sounds like it's like that.
Yeah, but and I think growls in general, but there's so much production that goes into making growls sound right.
Yeah.
And so if you really, this is going to sound weird, but if you really want to learn how to do growls, join the production course. Mm-hmm. I mean, the singing screaming course is going to help you with the foundational sounds to get there.
Yeah, the placement for it.
But in terms of like really experiencing how they're supposed to sound in a song context, this is why, like, a lot of times when you hear live recordings and you hear people growling, it just doesn't have the same effect because those layers aren't there.
Yeah.
And so you really get that.
The layers and compression and vocals. And now I want Spencer to cover an Opeth song. I'll probably never cover an Opeth song, but they're definitely one of my favorite bands, especially like prog death kind of bands. They do it better than everyone else, in my opinion.
So, you should do this with Devin Townsend.
Yes.
So we were talking about this last night, and this is actually where we, in some ways, we kind of want to ask for your guys' help. By you guys engaging in this course and talking it up and making it this, public thing, our goal is not to stop with Make Vox Total Destroy.
We want to get a lot of other singers that we think have a lot to offer in terms of their, technique specific ways of singing for them. And I think Devin Townsend is one of those singers that would have so much to offer that not even I can offer, And the more successful that this course does, the more chance we have at getting singers like that to do this. So we need your guys' help for that.
And there's other people already. I mean, Lucas was a surprise, right?
Yeah, that came together kind of at the last minute.
Yeah. But even that, like, already starting. And there's other vocalists, we're not going to name them yet, who are interested in doing this. Mm-hmm. The goal is to build something where we're pulling from guys across different genres and girls who are and make something where you're not just learning from vocal instructors, you get to learn from your favorite vocalists.
Yeah,
I mean, that's yes, master classes with all sorts of different singers. That's the idea. Yeah. And it's not out there yet. So
that's the ultimate goal with this. This is the first one, and like I said, depending on how this goes, we may be able to bring a lot of other top tier singers in to do this and bring you guys more content like this.
Yeah, and I mean this being a first is super exciting for us, but it's also not the end game. And
this is just the beginning as far as I'm concerned.
Howard Jones, Matt's awesome too.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Those guys are both beasts. I've gotten to see Howard and Jesse live. I love Killswitch.
Yeah, me too.
Two very different. It's neat hearing them do each other's songs. Over the
because completely different approaches, both of them.
Yeah, Howard is like super precise and
almost more operatic, and Jesse's a little bit more raw, punk rock, kind of aggressive.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's see here. We have got work to do and preparations to make for Lucas coming. Yeah. We've got a couple days together in the studio. We're so glad to have hung out with you. And the reason I said for you is that we're actually going to close this event by playing a little bit more from the recently released vinyl King Mothership. and we'll hang out and answer some questions by text as that side of the record is ending.
Yeah.
So give me just a second here. You can answer a couple questions while I put this back.
Okay, cool. Let's see. Any talks of Periphery tours after the next album? Yes. Oh, you're standing in front of that camera a little bit there. Yeah, we're taking this year to finish up this record. And like I said, it's in the very infant stages, but once it's done and getting ready to be released, probably, sometime next year, early next year or spring next year. I don't know. We'll have to just see when the record's done. We'll definitely be touring on it after that. And I think by then the world will be in a little bit more of a safe place to get out there and do shows the way that they're supposed to be done and not have to, limit people that can come in because, obviously the vaccine is more widely available and a lot more people will have gotten it by then.
So, so we're going to start, gutting the studio, setting it up, getting camera angles, putting some finishing touches on the vocal production, Motormouth vocal production course. Mm-hmm. You guys will be able to get the Motormouth, it will be accessible and ready to go no later than May 3rd. And everybody who enrolls in that bundle will get an email with a link to access that course for free because you've already purchased it in the bundle. And we're excited to finish that up for you. And like I said, we're gonna play some more King Mothership, and we're gonna hang out on text for a few minutes here. And guys, thank you so much for hanging with us.
Really, thank you.
And thank you for those of you who have already supported us and enrolled in the course. We look forward to starting the journey with you, both with the Make Vox Total Destroy and the Motormouth production bundle. And we look forward to interacting with you guys on the call sessions as well. This is great. So enjoy taking in the exclusive limited edition wrong speed vinyl release of King Mothership.
And enjoy the initial launch day of the vocal course. I hope you guys really enjoy it and get to dig into it.
Absolutely. We'll talk soon.
Situation, but I'll give you rights where you've been wronged. The second I saw those eyes batting, girl, I was turned to gold. Your face hot red, not trying to pretend because you're beautiful. Having a good time. Ooh, it's time for us to leave. You're better off with me. Does he ever dance around on the tops of diamond rings? Oh yeah, like a motherfucking clown in the circus. Watch me for your king. Hey mister, your bitch is frisky. I'll follow your footsteps. Take me up to the second floor. Fucking drunk as a sailor, rolling bloodshot eyes. Hear the sound of your laughter. God, it's making me crazy. Hope the bastard enjoyed you. Now it's time to die. Come here. There's nothing to fear. I'm only making him disappear. Oh, who am I kidding? You're both gonna die. The bodies I can handle, 'cause it's the blood I can't fight. Fools can't fall without the knife of a murderer. You better believe me when I tell you that you'll bleed under the sheets. Nobody can stop this like the chattering of your teeth. So long, this is so wrong. What may be pathetic, but it's you laying on the street. Your Mr. Rest in pieces while you crawl at my feet. What may be a sinner, but that bitch shot me too well. You can count the years until I meet you in hell. Now that the misery is all gone, all I have left is this song. Come on, bitches, sing it. Fools can't fall without the knife of a murderer. You better believe me when I tell you that you'll bleed under the sheets. Nobody can stop this like the chattering of your teeth. So long, this is all wrong. Fools can't fall without the knife of a murderer. You better believe me when I tell you that you'll bleed under the sheets. Nobody can stop me when I bust through your teeth. So long, this is all wrong. What has become of us, my darling? I look in the mirror and all that I see is myself. Oh, you don't make a sound, and your lover is stuck in the ground. Both the body and spirit will never be found. Finally free of the hollow, I'm leaving behind all the sorrow. Now I'm washing the bittersweet taste from my mouth. What has become of us? What has become of us, my darling? Good night, my darling. high time we extend the hand of fame and fortune. We possess the power, understand. Now plant the seed in the minds of all the men who see not what it means to caress the possibilities. A ritual of lust and violence, brothers, we create. Drink of the pleasure, respect while you initiate. Sharing these walls, all the secrets, all the industry. You'll be a star, just remember what our eye can see. I can finally reach where I belong. On a cloud which once felt so far gone, I am released of the pain, free from a life of mortal man. Now take the stage, my son, corrupt the children younger age. They know not what the future holds inside. Chaos in dreams. This light now illuminates the pathway. Transports us around to the Broadway. This life is the easy. Losing sleep and a lot of fucking respect for myself. We'll judge the destination, but I'm reaching for the invitation. So I'm crawling out from the undertow, from the top of bullshit. All and all like me would do, so we meet the countdown. We'll judge the destination, but I'm reaching for the invitation. I've been waiting a lifetime to get an answer to these calls. I've been waiting a lifetime to get an answer. Now I'm crawling from underneath every sound. All and all like me would do, and now our fates will come down. Hello again, are you finding pleasantries abound? Boy, hold your tongue, or you'll join the others in the crowd. See, we have eyes everywhere, we are the grand elite. Your life is ours, and through music you shall herald what we teach. So think before you speak.
There's only so many things you can learn from teachers. Academics spend time studying. You are out there doing.
In analyzing, what am I doing wrong for myself? Why do I sound a certain way? How do I want to sound? Victories and the failures. We're going to reverse engineer what I've been doing over the past 10 years and really see from somebody who's done it.
You accept that this life is about.
That was pretty nailed.
Yeah, I mean, I just feel like a little bit more compression.
More support.
Letting less air out up here.
It's about.
Right. I want to try the Marilyn Manson thing for a minute over it and see
Sure.
how that changes my approach.
Okay.
Life is about. Fly devotion.
Defy!
This, like, the intensity is coming with the diction and the face and the way you're pronouncing it, and less from the body and, like, all this intensity, you know?
That character is going to come out in the room and kind of float around.
Lust and violence, brothers, we create. Drink up the blood.
I wasn't thinking about, oh, I'm going to scream here, I'm going to scream there. I almost let what's going on in the story here in the words that I'm singing bring that out in me. It almost happened like second nature just because I
Right.
was immersing myself in that.
Listen to the, listen to the.
There's a lot that happens from the time the sound leaves your mouth to when you're printing final audio recordings off of your DAW. And we get to delve into exactly what those elements are and how they're working together. Production isn't just gear and getting the sound, it's also getting a performance out of not just yourself, but if you're a producer, another singer, walking them through these mind states and these things you have to be thinking about while you're recording. If the vocal isn't right, nothing's right. I'm Spencer Sotelo, and your vocals are going to be right.
colors decide where the light falls on the gray. Stuck in the mirror, gazing out through the side with the hole bending through your brain. Step in the wide, laughing back at the tide, bleeding red out on the bay. It's just a matter of